Hello, welcome back to Reads of an Apple. My name is Stacy, and today we are going to talk about the books that I plan to read in October. Now, I am, if you have not watched any of my videos before, I am in kind of a weird spot right now in life. I am currently looking for a new place to move. I'm currently crashing at my brother's house, but I was already hoping to be gone. I moved in here in the beginning of September, but hopefully I will be able to finally find a place. I do have a couple good leads, and I'm just waiting to hear back on approval, and on one of them is at an apartment building, which I would prefer to rent in a house still, but that is okay. I just have to wait because I am up first in their waiting list, and there is somebody who has to let them know within the next couple days if they are going to renew or not, is when their deadline is. So if they are not renewing, I am first up to go through the rest of the approval process. So we will see what happens there. But anyway, because I'm still kind of doing things a little loosey-goosey and my reading has definitely slowed down, I'm going to do not too strict of a TBR. Usually I pull from my origami flowers here, and I thought of doing something fun like doing bats or something that I could hang and pull down, but I'm not doing that. So maybe next year. We will see what happens. So there is quite a bit going on in October outside of that. So let me just get my list and then we will start going through things. And my kitty just woke up from her nap. Okay, so the Rake Appreciation Society book for the month is going to be The Lotus Palace by Jeannie Lynn. This is the first book in her... Oh my gosh. Is it the Lotus something series? It's the first book in the series that this one is a part of. I have this book. It is in boxes in storage. So I will be looking at trying to either get an ebook copy from my library or an audiobook even to read this. But I do own a paperback of it. But I just don't have access to it at this current time. But I'm very excited. I have read one of her Harlequin historicals. This one might be Harlequin as well, but the Butterfly Swords, I think it is. Super fun. This is historical romance, but historical romance set in China, and I just love it. So, give me anything historical Asian, and I am here for it. I used to, in college, mainly watch K-dramas and Japanese dramas, so Korean, Japanese, Taiwanese, and Chinese dramas. That was pretty much all I watched, and and Japanese variety shows. But a lot of the Chinese and Taiwanese, and probably most of the Korean dramas I watched were all the historical ones because I just enjoyed that setting, and because I took Asian and Chinese history and Japanese history in college, but before then that wasn't something that was really touched base heavily in, and so those were always a fun way, although the Chinese ones were a little more fantasy, but it was always a fun way to... Oh my gosh, why are you being naughty? I don't like a naughty kitty putting your foot in stuff that you shouldn't. That is my water cup, and now you got water everywhere. Oh my god, I swear. Okay, then, so that is October 19th. I don't know if I said that or not. So then the Smart Women Read Romance exclusive Patreon book for the month was paranormal themed, and the book that won the poll was Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. This is the first book. I think it's the other series. And I am a little disappointed that this book won the poll. But it's fine. I'll try it. I've read books and people I've never heard of before because of them. Because of doing the book clubs that I've done. But I watched the first season of the TV show. I watched it all. I definitely had some issues, especially with the relationship Elena and the head dude had. But my sister loves Kelly Armstrong. And she ended up with a bunch of extra copies and gifted me some of her books. And I tried to read. I will not say that it is a DNF. I never got far enough into the book to call it a DNF because I doubt I got past 1 or 2 chapters, if anything, if even that. And it just wasn't something that I was into at the time, or the writing style wasn't quite hitting me. But I just didn't ever get past those first couple chapters. So when I kind of was going through my books a couple years ago, all of the Kelly Armstrong books I have that were not that were not books that she had of anthologies with other authors I like, I took to my used bookstore to donate. So I do not have this book anymore. It has been quite a while. I probably kept on to that book longer than I should have. So I'm intrigued to see how far I get this time. It is a book club book though, so I might try to push myself through it. I know my sister likes Kelly Armstrong, but I don't know if because I had such a disappointing experience with the TV show, and especially Elena's, the relationship with her and the wolf dude, and that's why I was really struggling, because I didn't like their relationship in the show. And I know the books and the shows were different, but it had the same kind of setup, and I just didn't want to get into it. So, and then the other book club, it's read along I'm doing this month, is the SMJalong, and so it will be Tower of Dawn. This is the 7th book. 2, 3, 4, 5. No, this is the 6th book. Book 7 is the final book. So this is the 6th book in her Throne of Glass series. I am loving Sarah J. Maas. I am enjoying this series. I'm excited to go back to this series. I'm very excited because we are traveling to the southern continent, and I know that the plan was for Kale to go to the famous healers college area. And one of the prequel novellas, we see Selena at the time help a young woman get to that place because that's what she wanted to do with her life. So I'm really hoping that she pops up. And I am excited for the girl that went with him, Nesrin? Yes, Nesrin. But I have been not a fan of Kale. He kind of redeemed himself a little bit to me, and he was kind of working his way up because of my dislike for him. I really disliked him in the first book, not quite as much in the second book. And then when Aelin comes back in Heir of Fire, I really had some issues with him, and Nesrin, I feel like, kind of saved him as a character for me. So I'm kind of nervous that we're spending most of our time with Kale. And we'll see if Sarah can flip me and I can be on Team Kale now. He still probably won't be one of my favorite characters, but we'll see if she can at least get me to not dread reading in his point of view. And maybe dread is too harsh of a word, but I'm just not a fan of Kale. I mean, if he wasn't in the books, at least those first couple, I probably would have enjoyed him a little bit better. Or if he made better decisions, I would have liked him a little bit better. But we will see. But I'm excited to read this to see how it goes. But I am going in with some trepidations. So. Okay. So, there's that. Now, also, I am doing a couple reading challenges that are ongoing right now. In September 1st was the start of Shelby Taggart's from Instagram. I'll link her down below. Her fall seasonal reading challenge, Fall in Love, is back, and it runs for 3 months, so it will go to the end of November, and I am working on the first bingo board. She does have 3 available. I just do them in order. I know technically you could start with board 2 if you like board 2 better, but I just started with 1 because that's the one she called 1. So I am hoping that I can get most of these books that I read to work for at least the first bingo board. I'm about halfway through it at this point. So my hope was to at least get through 2, but we will see what happens. But as we get closer to Halloween, I might be binging a lot of holiday novellas, so that could be very possible for me to end up doing 2. But we will see what happens. Also currently going is the Bang in the Night bingo. This is hosted by the ladies that do But Does It Bang? But Do They Bang? I always get it wrong. Book club, and that is Jacque and Beth. They do have stuff posted on Instagram, so I'll link their Instagrams below. But they also have, most of this is run through their Discord, so you'll have to definitely reach out to either of them on Instagram to get access to, they'll send you an invite link to the Discord. And I think they are doing prizes again this year, but I'm excited for it. I also, you will notice when I do my weekly vlogs, I try not to go too much into depth on books and leave that for my wrap-ups, but I am talking about where I applied the books that I'm reading to those 2 reading challenges prompts. Also, for the Bang in the Night templates, they have a theme song area. Last year was the first year of Bang in the Night, and I went with all Taylor Swift songs. And this year I have been doing Frank Sinatra songs, but I'm keeping them to the 5 reprise rarity CDs that were released in 2020 and 2021. So, because he has a massive discography. So I narrowed it down to those 5. But let's be honest, I'm really kind of doing it off of only 3 of them because those are my favorites. But I'm saying all 5 volumes are available for me to choose from. So I'm also talking about what songs I use for there. Now, also happening in October, and this one I will need my book, is the next round of the Love in the Night bingo. They're not doing a bingo. Love in the Night Readathon. It will go from October 9th to October 15th, and it's once again hosted by Heather, Steph, Laura, Izzy, and Shay. I'll link all of them down below. And instead of doing a bingo board, they're doing a scavenger hunt. So here is the post that they put on Instagram. So unique paranormal, diving deep, getting horny, eat her out, toil and trouble, new to you author, and drink me. So I do have, also for the previous reading challenges as well for this, I do have kind of idea lists posted on my blog, which is always linked in my link tree. But I am going to do kind of my mini TBR. I try not to do strict TBRs for these things, but I do have some ideas of what I'm going to pick up that should work for Love in the Night, but also work for the other reading challenges. They do have a group book, which usually when they pick a group book, it counts for all or most of the prompts that they have. So this time it is The Captive Merman's Promise by Zoe Castile. And this is the 5th book in a series, but they're all written by different authors, so I'm assuming it's going to work well as a standalone. And that is the group book for that. Okay, so the next little bit, I usually pick 3 books from a TBR prompt that I pull my flowers for, my origami flowers for, but I decided to look at the books that I was hoping to pick up for all 3 of those challenges, but mainly focusing on paranormal because I have not read very many paranormal books this year, so I want to get my paranormal options up for when it comes to my end of the year brackets for my favorites. And so I kind of looked through, tried to stick to paranormal. There is one fantasy here, but so I am going to pick some books based on my normal TBR prompts, which is continue a series I've started, a new to me author, and an author whose backlist I am trying to get through. So for new to me author, I am thinking of picking up Kimberly Lemming's Mead Mishaps. The first book is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. And then there's something about eating a love potion with a werewolf or something like that. I don't know. They sound super cute. These are definitely fantasy and not paranormal. So this is like my biggest caveat on this little tiny list. But they're available on KU. They sound super fun. At least the first book has a character with horns, which will work for a couple of the more stricter prompts that we have. And I was like, okay, perfect. I know these guys have horns. I also have a couple sci-fi romances that have horns if I don't end up getting to these that I can do for Bang in the Night. But I think I want to do these because I think that they will be super fun. And this will work, like I said, for new to me author. For an author's backlist I'd like to continue. I do have two options, and it really kind of just depends. We have Hot and Badgered by Shelley Lawrenston. This is the first book in her Honey Badger series. I have read all of the other books published by Shelley Lawrenston. Now, she has two pen names. Her Shelley Lawrenston, she tends to stick to paranormal, and then her G.A. Aiken pen name kind of sticks towards fantasy. I have not read all of her fantasy books. I have her Scarred Earth Saga to read. But before I read that, I want to reread the Dragonkin series. And even though they're shifters, they're all dragon shifters, and I consider it fantasy and not paranormal. So I definitely need to read Hot and Badgered. I know the first book is a honey badger and a bear, and let me tell you one thing. Her Pride series has grizzly shifters and bear shifters in it. The best bear shifters I have ever read. I love them. The honey badgers in that series are hilarious. Oh, I kind of want to reread that series now as well. It was just such a fun ride, and it's been a while since I've read anything by her, and I definitely need to get back into it. And so maybe this will kind of kick off my reading binge. All of these books could also send me into a reading binge of these series or these authors. The other option that I may or may not pick up. So Hot and Badgered, before I move on. I do own all of these. I have the first two in the mass market paperback, or the first three, I think, in the mass market paperback. I know the most recent one. I have the big blue, like, indie sized that has the blue with the illustrated honey badger on it or something. But I have the original, like, Naked Boy covers for the other ones. But they're all on KU now, so she must have gotten the rights back to them or something. So I probably will just be reading it on KU because the books are once again in a box somewhere in storage. And then another of my favorite paranormal authors is Molly Harper, and I have been needing to read her Mystic Bayou series. This is the only of her paranormal series I need to read. I have some of her contemporary books still left on her backlist, but these books originally released as audiobook only, and then eventually the ebooks and then paperbacks came out. I have all of the books in paperback, but once again, they are in storage somewhere. So I will be either trying to find the audiobooks with my library or finding an ebook from the library or something to try to save me from going up, because I'd rather spend however long trying to find a box than having to re-buy a book I already own. But we will see what I can find. So that's why I kind of have that one there as a caveat. I'm leaning more towards that one than the Shelley Lawrenston, just because it's nice knowing that I have that one series left. And then, because that's it, then I'll be completely caught up. And and then I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm leaning towards, for what I want to read, the Molly Harpers, but the Shelley Lawrenstons are a little bit easier to read. So we'll see what I end up picking up. And who knows, I could read both of them. And then for continue a series, I will hopefully be finally picking up No Rest for the Wicked. This is the second book in Immortals After Dark by Kresley Cole. Yes, I have only read the first, technically 2 books. So the first book and the 0.5, I love them. I was into other paranormals and sucked into other paranormal series when these were coming out. Don't know why I never picked them up. Probably because I was like, I'm already in like 3 other series that have a billion freaking books. But I need to get caught up. And this, I think one of them is a vampire. Yes, Sebastian is a vampire. So this will work for a lot of the vampire and like blood and drinking prompts that I have. So I definitely want to read this. I do know that this could, if I'm definitely feeling the spooky vibes, put me into a binge of this series. I've heard the audiobooks are excellent, but I don't know. Because as much as I want to read more audiobooks when I'm at work, I tend to focus on podcasts. And so I don't know. And I have enough like stuff to watch that when I get home, I'm either reading or watching things and working on stuff. So, and I feel like with these, I would want more of my attention put on it. Like, I'm very picky on what I pick up in audiobook. Either I'm running late on a book club book, or it's something where I feel okay not like missing information here and there. Like historical romances, I don't mind reading an audiobook because I feel like there's not as much like little details that if you miss will like potentially make you miss something huge. I feel like that happens. I feel like I would miss more. I just don't want to miss anything is the point. And I'm just going off rambling about it, but I love audiobooks and I enjoy them when I listen to them, but I would rather read physically or on an ebook because I feel like I withhold the information better. And I don't know. I mean, but if these were in like a graphic audio, yes. But I have heard that the audiobooks for this. So maybe I'll see if my library has them. And I will read and listen. And then if I decide to continue binging, maybe just go with audiobooks from there. But I don't know. We'll see. Too many different options, but I do hope I'm picking up that. All right. And that is really it for books that are like TBR prompts or read-alongs or book clubs. Now, either yesterday or the day before, I did my anticipated new releases for the last 3 months of 2022. So some of those October books I may or may not be picking up this month. I'm not, depending on, it's very few authors that I read upon release, but it also depends on what time in the month it releases and how many book club books I have to get through. But that saying, I will touch base on 3 of the books that I'm very excited for in October that kind of fit what I'm planning on reading for most of the month. So first off is Resting Witch Face by Juliet Cross. This is the 5th book in Stay a Spell series. This is supposed to come out October 31st. Now I am a part of her Patreon, so I will most likely be getting an arc of this. She usually tries to put arcs out like 2 weeks, like week and a half, 2 weeks before release date. So hopefully I will be getting it a little bit earlier in the month. But this is one that I will be getting to ASAP, plus it fits a bunch of the witchy magic prompts, plus the cover is gorgeous, and I cannot wait to read it. And then also on the more paranormal end is Hallows End by Kristen Proby. This is the first book in her new series, The Curse of the Blood Moon. I have heard of Kristen Proby. I've seen her books around. I don't believe I have read her yet. But this one very much intrigued me. I mean, first of all, this cover is gorgeous. But this is a witch who moves back home to Salem. And I think if I remember correctly, she is a green witch. Might just be the cover speaking to me, though. But she is, from what I could understand, something happened. She feels a calling. She feels a pull. Something like that. And so she goes into the woods near Salem. And she ends up coming across a magical barrier that is hiding the town of, I think Hallows End is the name of the town. Based on the blurb. I read the blurb once and went, ooh, that sounds good, added it to my list, and that is what I have left it off. So this is my bad recollection of a blurb I read a couple months ago. But but it is a romance between her and one of the guys who's like a protector or a leader or something of this town. And so he gets out to figure out what breached the town's magical barrier, and then they meet, and I believe it is their romance. So it was kind of giving me like the Village vibes, and like with the witchiness and Salem, and she's a green witch, so it'll be very like naturey, I think, too. So I don't know, I'm very intrigued by this and excited by this one, and I'm definitely more in like like a witchy and like shiftery vibe, I feel like, this month, but we'll see what happens. But vampires are my like first true love when it comes to paranormal. But other than those two, we also have Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is supposed to come out October 14th. This is the second book in her Chestnut Spring series. This is Kate's book, who is the grumpy older brother, single dad, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a nanny romance. So she keeps sending teasers and quotes and things in her newsletters, and I keep just skimming past it because I want to go in as blind as much as I can. I trust Elsie Silver. I have mentioned this before. I'm not the biggest fan of enemies to lovers. I kind of struggle with it at times, but a lot of her books are enemies to lovers, and somehow she makes me like them. So does Julia Cross, but those two are like my top tier enemies to lovers people. But I feel like the more I read Cressley Cole, she'll probably be in that top tier echelon as well. But I'm not the biggest fan of nanny romances, or of that trope. But I trust Elsie. I trust Elsie with everything, and I'm very, very excited to read Heartless. She, in one of her newsletters, I did see where she was talking about how she just didn't want to stop writing them. She really fell in love with them, and she just really kind of had to force herself to stop the book. And so I don't know, I'm just really excited for it. I cannot wait to read it. This will be another one that I will be picking up ASAP. I already have the paperback pre-ordered. The paperback is already up and live on Amazon, so if you would like a paperback, definitely get one pre-ordered. But I will probably, if I want to read it before the paperback comes, I will be getting it on KU. Also, I should mention, she recently announced like discrete or alternate covers in hardback for this series. And so you can already purchase the hardback for Flawless. And then upon release, you can order the hardback version of this one. And I'm just going to put up Heartless's because this is like giving me old school Western vibes, and it makes me think of some of the movies that my grandfather used to watch all the time. And I am just loving them. I definitely want them. Both copies. Elsie is one of the authors I will buy all of her special editions for. I love her to death. I love her writing. She is the sweetest freaking person and I don't usually buy hardbacks, but I will for Elsie. But it's not going to be a priority. So I'm probably going to wait until I find a place and can move. And then I have some gift cards that I've been saving since my birthday back in June for books. So I will probably at that point go on a little book buying binge on Amazon, and at the very least be getting these hardbacks because they're so pretty. And there's other people that have special editions that I'm like, oh, what do I want? This one or do I want the special edition? Like, I only want one copy of, unless it's like a favorite book of mine. But for Elsie, I will get all of the editions in all of the books. So, but yeah, that is it. That is what I'm planning on reading in October, if not more. Definitely keep an eye on my other videos. I always try to at least touch base what I'm reading in my weekly vlogs. And then if I am reading enough, I will do a mid-month wrap-up, or at least a wrap-up at the end of the month where I talk about them. But I also try to keep my Instagram updated on what I'm reading and where I'm applying it to the challenges that have like bingo boards and things that you can share to your Instagram stories. And I also try to keep my currently reading up there as well. So definitely follow along if you want to know what I am in the midst of. But otherwise, I hope you will have a good October and are ready for all like the spooky and fall vibes. I am here for it. It's finally getting cooler here. I mean, last week we were still like in the high 80s, but we're supposed to be starting getting into 70s and 60s here in Colorado. So I'm very excited for this cooler weather. I cannot wait. And I'm hoping that I get some good books. If any of these sound good, let me know down below, and let me know what you plan on reading. If there's anything different or something fun that you're really looking forward to, let me know. I might have to add it to my radar. But otherwise, I will see you all very soon. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I hope you have a great day.